This is the Simpit. I'm your host, Sean Cole, and welcome to another edition of the Sim Tunnel, where we actually cover, the Pit Stop. I got so many things on my mind where we cover today's sim racing news, and you here with us, the pit crew, chiming in with your opinion and thoughts on various news and stories from around the world of sim racing today. So we do have a lot to talk about. Some of it is sim news related, some of it is Simpit agenda related. So we do have a lot to cover today, and hopefully you'll chime in with your opinions on today's news, and of course anything you know about going on in the sim racing, please bring it to our attention. We try to find everything, but you might find it even better than we do. So if you have any stories or news from sim racing, be sure to share in with the chat as well, and we would appreciate that for everybody's sake. So let's go ahead and get going with today's news, and we do have a little to talk about. So Ty Majeski before Ty Majeski after. Before and after. And I bring this up because congratulations to Ty on getting the win there. This guy, somebody mentioned in the chat before the show even got going, this guy was one of the best, is one of the best iRacers on the planet, Oval in particular. One of the highest I ratings, maybe the highest I rating ever achieved in iRacing, and that led to him getting some sponsorship opportunities. And the guy is just an amazing on-track, real-life, and sim driver. And again, I bring this up for two reasons. One, the proof is in the pudding. Here's the image. Practicing for the ARCA race, Kansas 150 at Kansas Speedway. And here he is on his very simple setup, and I was talking to John Hill for a while about this, trying to figure out, is this like the on-the-road setup, or is this what he races at home? But who would bring a fan and rolls of duct tape to prop up the laptop on the road? Anyway, it really doesn't matter. Here he is practicing in iRacing. Here he is in victory lane, holding the big trophy, and somewhere I'm sure some prize money to go along with it. And you know, again, getting your name out there as a winner leads to bigger and better sponsorships. So, anyway, that's why I bring it up. We sim racers, we are doing the same thing they're doing. No, we're not fighting G-forces. No, our stamina being in a 150-degree car isn't really an issue, but we have our own stamina. And, you know, certainly we can't crash and burn up things and get hurt and all that kind of stuff. But hand-eye coordination, track savvy, race etiquette, all the skills it takes to win in real life are what we do every day in sim racing, regardless of what sim you're playing. Doesn't matter. You could be playing the most arcadish of games. If it rewards you for a proper driving line, chances are you are learning skills, and at the point that it starts taking other things into account, you might be going, you know, getting 70 to 90% of the racing experience in sim racing. So, anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about there. The pressure, El Bucho, absolutely. Getting used to having somebody breathing down your neck as you're trying to get the win. That ain't easy. We've all crumbled under pressure, and being able to practice and emulate that, especially that's something I think we can get 90 to 100% even intensity and that whole pressure situation. So, moving on to Project Cars 2, a couple things I want to talk about here. Number one, they have another one of their insider videos, a tutorial on pit strategy in the ICM menu. So I keep bringing these up because I think it's cool that they're doing their own beginner's guides. And I've been meaning to do a beginner's guide to every sim here at the Simpit. It just takes a lot of time in addition to everything else we're doing, but that's one of my intentions. It's good to see one of the sims taking it seriously and providing it from their own insiders. I mean, to be honest with you, their guys know so much more about the internals of Project Cars 2 than I do, that it's really beneficial to all of us that they provide us with this kind of thing. So, now, while we're on the topic of Project Cars, I mentioned yesterday on the show about their ESL and converting to Project Cars 2. And here's the page for the ESL and everything going on with Project Cars 2. And I'm not going to name his name, and I'm not going to show the actual email because I don't feel like cut and pasting and blacking out all the parts that you don't want to know about. Here you go, Michael. Still not in a Simpit cup. Excuse me. Oh, woo! Choking on my coffee. Anyway, this person who competed in the event actually talked about the amount of people, 23 groups of 6 drivers. They are all in various lobbies trying to get invites. Again, this is the first time they've used Project Cars 2. There was some clunkiness going on. Some guys having, like, it needed to be an invite through Steam, and whether they had a private account versus an open account, and even whether they are getting their invites, not being able to find the lobby, all of this kind of stuff. Oh, I didn't even look at my tracking. I hope, man, you're going to get yours before me. I'm so far off the beaten path. But anyway, there were some things, and this person who sent me an email in particular was using VR. And, you know, I think in 2017, it's fair to say that a player, a driver, can use VR. Well, if you haven't used VR, one of the downsides, a lot of the sims haven't really fully incorporated it beautifully, which means your menus aren't always where you need them to be when you're in the VR. And in some cases, you might not be able to see things. In the case of this competitor, he couldn't see the join, and I believe he actually missed the race because of it. And then when he sent a letter of concern to the ESL, he got a response that was somewhere along the lines of, hey, we're all responsible for our own technical issues. I don't know if I necessarily agree or disagree. Oh, and then the last thing is that the game was launched through Steam Project Cars, which, unless you launch it through Steam VR, has no VR support. So I guess my point here goes back to what I was talking about yesterday. When a sim that is so brand new gets just transferred. I mean, it was Project Cars 1 yesterday, Project Cars 2 today, and I'm not even trying to make this a slam, because yesterday I thought, gosh, I would like a little more practice, a little more tried and true in order to make that switch. And I think that they jumped the gun, went a little early, ran into a few problems that upset a few of the competitors, and I'm sure upset some of the people at Project Cars and ESL as well. It's not like it's a one-directional thing when there are problems. So it will, you know, it'll be interesting to see how quickly they can resolve all the bugs. I would have liked to have seen them take a little more time, maybe do a not for points day just to get it running. Anyway, those are just my thoughts on that. And I'm not trying to bash on Project Cars 2. I'm not trying to bash on ESL. I'm not trying to bash on any of it. I thought this was a little foreseeable, and it led to some upset people and some frustration. So, and that, we'll call that growing pains as well. You're going to see this and get this with just about every sim when they make the transition to the public light, and competitions with, the more that's at stake, the more it's critical. You know, we throw our sim racing systems race, there's no prize. It really doesn't matter. But if there's $1 million on the line, it sure would matter a whole lot. Ash, that's a good point. Did they do that? Right now, we're in that world of super marketing, and I almost think half the times we see a demo or a car release, it's trying an attempt to take the attention, divert the attention back onto themselves. I wouldn't put that past the concept. Is that the sole reason? No. I think they wanted to get this going. It makes sense. It's their new sim. It's so much better than Project Cars 1. But at the same time, marketing is a big reasoning behind a lot of things we're seeing right now. Hey, Liptic J. GTR3 hopefully will be awesome. I would expect a lot coming from that group, and still haven't got word from them. I'm going to send them an email right when we finish the show. I've sent them a couple. Maybe they're being quiet for a reason. So, I'll try again. Formula 1. What do I want to talk about this? Oh, game merchandise. They're having a contest, so I always want to tell you where you can win some free stuff. Anyway, go to Cody's blog, and they're doing a picture submission contest. So you send them a picture, they're doing some kind of a pick. I didn't even look at what the prizes were, because I figured, does it really matter? Free stuff is free stuff. We'll see if we can get that real quick. I just wanted to look, and I didn't even see. I just scanned through that. Anybody else wants to check it out, that would be great. Let us know if they're giving away anything super cool. I'm assuming they just had some merchandise, so I'm guessing, you know, shirts, mouse pads, you know, maybe game credits, previous version of the game. Who knows? Who knows? Sorry to scroll through this really quick. A bunch of patch updates in that same article. Anyway, free stuff from Codemasters. That's always cool. Moving on to Dirt. I'm only mentioning this because we just had Austin and Formula One. World Rallycross will be in Austin this coming year. So that is cool. I'm not going to talk much about that. Another thing. Now, I heard this through the grapevine, so this is sort of unofficial. But apparently, with Project Cars 2 last update, it kind of messed up the CSL Elite PS4 compatibility, which removed some force feedback, created some issues, and all this. Anyway, this is known by Fanatec. This is known by Slightly Mad Studios, makers of Project Cars 2, and a fix is in the works. But I just want to let you know, in the meantime, if you switch it to compatibility mode, if you switch the CSL Elite to compatibility mode, it should resolve some of those issues, but I know an official fix is on the way, but that'll at least keep you running. So hopefully that is, if something you've encountered and you were wondering what the heck's going on, there's your answer, and know that a proper fix is in the works. And yeah, you missed it all because of the historic, I understand. Yeah, Paul, yeah, you know, all these companies are a little touchy when it comes to somebody else getting too much attention or them getting no attention. That's always a relevant point, and, you know, I hate to use the word like a grain, you know, take it with a grain of salt, but sometimes you got to take some of this stuff with a grain of salt and wonder what the real motivation and timing behind thing is. Hey, Kalamazoo, Michigan. Also, I saw Kathmandu, Nepal is in the house. I didn't update since yesterday on the Simpit map. We'll bring that up, but I have a huge list of markers to add to the list. So that pretty much takes us to the end of Fanatec. And again, that's only on the PS4 version of Project Cars 2 since the latest patch. Another giveaway. Jaroslav Honzik is giving away a Thrustmaster T300 with a TM Leather 28 wheel. So if you just go over, so I found this at the Thrustmaster Twitter page, and you can scroll down and you'll see this link. Might want to get in there and try to get that free stuff. Thrustmaster Hot Lapping with Project Cars 2 is coming up. They're doing something in conjunction with the Paris Games Week, running Silverstone National and Porsche 911 GT3. So, that's something else we might be able to partake in. I don't think there are any prizes, just Jaroslav Honzik, yes. Is it my max within track limits? My max is right here. I'm gonna mention that topic. A couple of articles or things were brought to my attention from viewers of the show. Actually, Dennis, you're the one who brought this one up. I had seen this story and I just kind of laughed and didn't think much of it. But this is amazing and awesome on one hand and possibly disgusting on the other hand. But this is some very elaborate setup to be sitting inside of a Lamborghini in order to play Gran Turismo looking at the same Lamborghini. So, anyway, I thought this was funny. The part that upset me about it is, man, if I had a Lamborghini, I would not have all that crap lying all over my Lamborghini. What do you mean you have an Xbox One teetering between the window and the paint, like with a corner sitting on the paint? This picture actually kills me for that reason. I understand the projector being on the roof. It's probably the best place for the projector, but perhaps you could put a cloth under it or something. Oh, did I say Gran Turismo? I meant Forza. Yeah, it's Forza 7. Sorry about that. And then that's the other point McKernan makes, is that you know what they say about fools and their money. I don't, but you know what? If you have enough money to buy a Lamborghini, you're probably not that worried about buffing out some little scratches or repainting, or who knows? In today's day and age, it could be a wrap right there to begin with. It's not even paint. You never know. Anyway, this is this guy's passion. We all take our simulators to different levels, different reasoning. That's one way. I would think it would get a little bit hot inside of that. So, all right. Next topic I'm going to go into. John Hill brought this up, and then somebody brought this up at the beginning of the chat, right before the show. I can't remember here. I'm going to check names real quick. Give me a quick moment. It was Time Runner who brought this up, talking about track limits. So, I didn't actually see the race this weekend, but I did hear about what went on and the craziness going on in F1. And 4 wheels off was clearly a penalty, and then they chose when and if it was going to be dealt with. And the reason I'm bringing this up is it's humorous for anybody who watches racing, or you pull your hair out watching it if you're a racing fan, depending. I think back to Long Beach, there was a similar situation this year where you weren't supposed to cross over the pit lane exit line to set up for turn 1, and it was being done over and over again, including for the win. And I thought, wow, they sort of just let that slide. But then it turns out, even though they had made the warning at the beginning of the race, they chose to let it slide all race long. So it then came down to that situation. I've said this before about rules. In fact, it was that Daytona 24 incident with the guy dive bombing in the corner, or whether that was dive bombing. But the judges, the referees will start calling a basketball game a certain way. And you usually know within the first 5 or 10 minutes if it's going to be a game where they're calling every ticky-tack foul or they're letting some you-know-what slide. Racing's the same way. They need to be consistent, and I think as much as the letter of the law being followed, consistency is equally important. In baseball, if a referee's strike zone is big, it better stay big all game long. I don't want to see him jumping from a tight strike zone to a very open strike zone. Consistency is as important as the actual written rules, I think. And that's true across the board, all sport. So, in the case of this one, it was kind of funny. And side story, I heard that Kvyat lost his ride at Toro Rosso. So we are in that crazy season in F1 right now, as well as it looks like things are kind of getting to where it's almost played out. Now we're going to start seeing some craziness from that mid-pack back, where it won't have any say or role in the outcome of the season. So that is it for sim racing news on my end. I didn't see anything from you guys. We'll move on to some personal agenda. Only a couple more times I'm even going to mention this. But if you haven't done it already, let's make sure you take the Sim Tunnel Making Pizza the Perfect Sim poll. And I have a link in the description of today's show. You can follow that link. Please fill out your answers. About 38 questions breaking down Sims, physics, graphics, sounds, UI, fun factor, damage, everything we could think of. And I know we missed a category or two, but we're trying to figure out if we could pick the perfect sim. Take the physics from Game A, the sounds from Game C, the graphics from Game B, and put it all together to make the perfect sim pizza. That's what we're trying to do. So please fill out that questionnaire or poll. Help us out with some great answers to that, and I'll do a full show giving you all the answers. Beyond that, I want to mention the Pitstop map. I have a handful of names to add to it. If you're new to the show and you haven't already, let us know where you're from so we can make sure we have you on the map. You can see we have a huge audience from all over the world, heavily dense areas in America, South America, in Europe, but I'd love to see more guys from the Asia area, from Russia. I want to see people from all over the world. So again, if you're new to the show, be sure to let us know where you're coming from. And stand on it. Funny, I didn't figure it out. Someone else figured it out. I just realized your name is Stand On It. And I thought your name was Stand On It. And if it is, kudos to your parents. Well done. Well played. So, Historics, want to talk about this real quick. We are running our Simpit Historic Series at Sim Racing System, running in the Ferrari 312. This week we're at Fuji, old school Fuji, which is crazy and should be a fun race. So, please join us. If you haven't already, tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, we will do a setup. Actually, it'll probably be more like just a practice together and attack the track, but I'll be airing or streaming it live. And then the racing is Thursday and Friday at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And I'd love to have you join us in that series. All you have to do is go to Sim Racing System, get a free membership there. Join our series, you'll need a race department account. That's free as well. You'll need to download this week's track. And then in addition to that, you'll need a Assetto Corsa, and you'll need the Ferrari 70th Anniversary Pack. That way you'll have all the things you need to race with us. And we have a few more races in this season, but we'll continue on next season as well. So, that is all I have to say about the Historics. Beyond that, we will have a sim tunnel this Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it is going to be real racing versus sim racing. And what do they have that's unique? What do they have that is in common? And what can they learn from each other? And I'm going to have a special guest that I'm not going to tell you about until we're there. But I do have a very special guest, somebody who has some intimate knowledge with this topic. And I think it'll be a real pleasure and a great conversation. I'm going to want your guys' opinion on it as well. Hello, Italy. Hello, Herne Bay, Kent, UK. SoCal, Amsterdam, in the house, Gelderland. I'm going to grab all those names in just one moment. Beyond that, Saturday will be my final show, and then I'm going to be out of town for another week. So, I'm sorry, we will be off the air for all of next week. That means nothing. Monday through Saturday, it'll be the following Monday that we come back on the air with the new version of the Pitstop, and then everything will be back to normal. Just so you know, I'm going to be working at the SEMA, the biggest aftermarket car show in North America. I'm going to be working with CXE, running their simulators in conjunction with iRacing. So if you, the guys are going to be there from iRacing, one moment. And I will be there running with the Sims. And if you're going to be at SEMA, make sure you find our booth and come out and check us out. iRacing, CXE working together. Should be a lot of fun. SEMA is crazy. That's in Las Vegas coming up next week. So I will be out of town. We will be here Saturday for the Sim Tunnel, and that'll be our last official show. I'm trying to get an edited show out between now and then as well, just to have something else beyond just the live streams. So that will be pretty cool. Covered the Sim Tunnel, covered being out of town, covered all the news, talked about the Historics, talked about all you great guys and where you're from. I think that's going to do it for today. So this is the Simpit. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.